and welcome listeners and watchers to Gaming the System. You're joining me, Alex, Matt, and today we have a guest called Ross, who is actually a former colleague of mine and now obviously a friend, and is joining us today to talk all about gaming and accessibility and why it's important, specifically focusing on The Last of Us Remastered, which recently came out and obviously had a bit of an overhaul in terms of its accessibility. So we're going to be talking about that and basically our thoughts on it. But I think one of the best things to do would be to introduce Ross properly, if he would like to have a chat with us about his gaming history and kind of give us a background on how he got into gaming and kind of what games he likes to play, that sort of thing. So, Ross, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, sure. Hi, both. Well, it all started when I was born. It's crazy. I'm in my mid-20s now, and I've played games for as long as I can remember, really. But probably the main headlines to know about me is that it's pretty much been PlayStation all the way, with little, I guess if I stick to the gaming terminology, side quests along the way into realms of like Nintendo Wii and Mega Drive and other things like that. But yeah, for as long as I can remember, I've had PS1 through PS5. And even sort of in the days of the PSP, the handheld, when all that stuff was trendy. And it's a shame, really, that Sony have sort of fallen off that bandwagon. But if I was to summarise my gaming history, it would probably be as I wouldn't say a Sony fanboy, but a Sony fan. Definitely.
Nice. Well, you know already that I'm a big PlayStation fan. Yes. And of course, you could probably tell from Matt's reaction that he is as well. So you're in good company here, definitely.
Unfortunately, I couldn't even see Matt's reaction. So for all I know,
he did a little fist pump. But he fully fist pumped the air, so he was all very excited about that. So if I remember correctly, The Last of Us Remastered came out, I think it was on your last day of work with me as part of the team, or was it the day after you were getting it posted to you?
It was,
but you were very excited to play. Yeah, it was the very last day, yeah. So how you have, I take it, finished the game?
Yeah, it was. I remember it arrived like right at the start of my shift, and I was due to finish at 8 p.m. And it was kind of like, I'm glad I kept it in another room, because if it was there in the same room, it'd be like it was staring at me all day, which would not have been good. But yeah, so that was a very early, 2nd of September that wasn't it?
Gosh, yes, it's going back quite a while now. But yeah.
I know, yeah. So I started playing it, obviously, that day, and I was starting a new job on the 13th of September. And I'm usually a really slow gamer. For obvious reasons, I have severe sight loss. With a lot of games, I can't really play them that well, so it takes me ages to get through them, and I often need help. But with that game, I started it on the 2nd of September, and I'd finished it by the 11th of September.
Oh, wow.
And it's not exactly a short game, The Last of Us, is it?
No.
I mean, I think you've played it, haven't you, Alex?
I haven't played it, but I've watched it on YouTube because I'm a bit of a scaredy cat and I don't play like horror-based games or like games with I just find it too scary. Like the tension and the stuff, like stealth stuff was pretty scary. So I did attempt to play a little bit with an ex-boyfriend. I think I got maybe an hour or so in, and then I reached a point with the clicker and I was just like, nope, not playing any. But I have watched all of it on YouTube. Matt is an avid fan of The Last of Us, as you may have heard on the podcast many times before now. So I'm sure you guys can exchange notes on it as well.
Yeah, so this will be a spoiler, completely open for business zone. So
yeah, if you've already played it, just if you've not played it, I should say, just turn off now. But yeah, I'm completely with you on the clickers, Alex. Even though I played played the first game probably about three and a bit times now, and the second game 2 and a bit times, and the clickers still somehow managed to terrify me, which is good, really, that impactful that they still get me on the third and fourth playthrough. But when I'm sat there, sort of, dreading engaging in the fight with them, and like my partner was like, just go and kill him. It's not going to be that bad. And it's just like, yep, she's right. Let me just go and do this. But they are so creepy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So how did you find the experience of it being remastered for you? Like, what features made it more playable for you this time around? Did you ever try to play the original?
Yeah, I played the original when it first came out. Again, it was one that it took me ages to do. And then obviously the second one came out, and it's probably quite widely known that it's probably the most accessible game of all time. Certainly the most accessible AAA game of all time. And sort of this time round, maybe for anyone that isn't certain, they did more than just a usual remaster. They properly rebuilt it from the ground up, but with accessibility at the center of everything they did. So they brought every feature from The Last of Us Part 2 into The Last of Us Part 1 and built on top of it. So it was sort of much more than your usual copy and paste remaster, I guess. It was sort of much more than that. And this time around, sort of the big addition that they added to it was sort of audio description in the cutscenes, and apparently it's the first time again that's ever been done on a AAA game. And when I was going through it, there was times like in the first game in a cutscene where, like, for example, a character would be crying or something, or another small detail was happening, like something in the distance, for example, and like I'd have no idea really. I wouldn't see that thing at all, but obviously with audio description now being in the game, it sort of means that you can, for me anyway, enjoy it sort of on a whole new level, sort of in an equal way to anybody else. So I think, comparing my playthrough this time to the first time I ever played the first game, it was night and day, really. I managed to play through this game without any help from anybody, which I've never really been able to do with any game, which is
That's fantastic.
Always nice. Yeah.
There must have been a really liberating experience for you to be able to do that for the first time.
It is, yeah. And it's, obviously, sometimes I need help, and that's fine. That's sort of comes with having sight loss, really. Sometimes you do need help, but when the barriers are removed to an extent where you don't need help at all from anybody and can just, play the game on your own, even like there was times with games in the past where I would not play a certain level because there was no chance of me doing it on my own. So I'd actively wait for somebody else to be there, which is like when you just want to crack on and play, it's rubbish.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. Matt, have you played The Last of Us Remastered? I believe you said you recently finished it.
Yes. Because I'm so grateful to you, Ross, because I played this is like the remade version, and so they had The Last of Us original, which was in 2013 PS3, then they remastered it for PS4, then they did Last of Us Part 2. I played The Last of Us Part 1 because the second one looked good. When I say I played the PS4 version and then played it and was like, meh. And then played the second one, and it's one of the top 5 games I've ever played. Absolutely jaw-dropping. And I was certain I'd never play it again because it had affected me so much. But then Alex mentioned that you were excited about it. and wanted to talk about it. And so in the last month, I've just been gorging like a clicker on the remade part 1, and I just finished part 2 again today. And I have to say, when there's the myth about disability and accessibility is that it just means making things easier, slowing things down, dumbing things down, and that disabled people have nothing to offer apart from being a burden. But it's just going through. I played with a ton of the accessibility stuff turned on to experiment, and turns out when you can customize a game to suit your personal gaming choices, what you prefer. I was going to say perversions, but I meant what you prefer. Then it makes it enhances it, and of course go, oh, duh. That's obviously, and you'd have to be a great big steaming bellend to not realise that not only are these things just getting people able to have the base experience, stuff like the difficulty level alone, I like the combat to be hard, but I don't like the survival scarcity element where you've never got any ammunition. So you can have the combats to hard and the resource collecting to easy. So you can have lots of stuff. But the two most awesome game-changing things were enhanced. Did you use enhanced listen mode, Ross?
Yeah, that was from the Last of Us Part 2, and when they brought it into this one, that was one of my most treasured features in either game. Yeah, I take it you used that one as well.
Yeah, just it. So that was part 1. So both visual things are using the what's it called? Changing it's the high
contrast.
When it's high contrast, yeah. So when it's got the world is grey, good people are blue, bad people are red, pickups are yellow. And I could just go through. So the things that frustrate me are not being able to find enough things, and so yeah, that's basically it. And so that was where I started. I think, I can't be asked searching around to find everything. I'll turn on the ping so that you can. I'll just turn on the ping so it helps you find. And it's genius. You can press square for enemies, circle for pickups, so it doesn't just automatically tell you where everything is.
So is it like an audio cue?
It's so cool. As I'm learning more and more about game development itself, going through this list of things, I was just thinking, of course, there's a ping library. So every single conceivable thing in the game has its unique ping.
That's
and
really
it pings
cool.
depending on how far away from you it is. And if people, so yeah, just finding things, having plenty to find, being able to find it. And the people who say, "Oh, it can," that takes the fear out of it. If you can have an enemy ping and you can use the high contrast stuff. The scariest thing that happened in the game happened when I was stood somewhere in the dark and used the ping, and a buzz went off right next to me. And I went, okay, and turned on high contrast mode and turned to my right, and a stalker jumped at me and scared the shit out of me. So those two elements, it's people just try them. If anyone's like, oh, I'm just make it easier, just go shut up and try it.
And it's just that feature you described there, the enhanced listen mode. Sort of one of the things I love most about what they did with Part 1 and Part 2 is that they didn't just include a few accessibility features almost like as a token gesture, like a lot of game companies might do these days. Like, I I saw a game developer recently sort of kind of blowing their own trumpet because they'd included like different colorblind settings. And whilst that's obviously brilliant, that's something that has been in like a lot of games for years and years and years, as far as I can remember, which, yeah, brilliant that it was added. But I think these days accessibility needs to be so much more. And what Naughty Dog did was they put these features in, but they also made them actually useful and not just like a kind of like a gimmick. Like it would have been easy for them to just input like an enhanced listen mode that beeps whenever there's something to interact with, just as simple as that. But no, they did it so it tells you if there's an item, it tells you if there's an enemy, there's a different sound for each of those two things, so you know what it is that it's detected. And if the enemy's high up or low down, the sound will be more higher pitched. So you know, kind of, you know, if you do a scan and it is a high pitched beep, you know that it's kind of not on the floor that I'm on, so you're kind of all right for a bit. And that's sort of the amazing thing about it, really. And as well for, you know, people like me who, you know, if I tried to read something, it would take me all day. And people that know me know that, like, with any gadget or any piece of technology or game or anything like that, any piece of software, I love a good settings menu. Often the first thing I'll do with anything is just go through all the settings and see what I can mess with, because I love messing with things and making it work how I want it to work. And probably the biggest feature that they included across both games, really, if I had to pick three, this would probably be in the top three, is they have a screen reader, you know, across the entire game, which is essentially, you know, a screen reader will read what's on the screen as it says on the tin. So in all of the menus, it will say which menu item you're on. It will say what your current option is. Like if you're on subtitles, for example, it will say subtitles currently on, and then what you need to do to toggle them off and on. And sort of the speed at which I was able to just go through the settings and make it work exactly how I wanted was, like, you know, 100 times faster than it would have otherwise been. And then even in the game, you have the little touchpad controls where you can switch weapons and get your, you know, Molotovs and bricks and so on and so forth. You know, when you tab to them, it will tell you what you've selected. It will tell you how many you've got left. It will tell you if you can craft it. And just the level of, you know, not just the features themselves, the level of detail that each feature goes into is absolutely incredible across both games. It's just great. I honestly, I like my brother. I often talk to him about The Last of Us because I'm normally chatting with him when I'm playing it, and it's educated him a lot about, you know, how games can become more accessible for disabled people, which is, you know, one of the other great aspects of it. It's not just something that benefits disabled people. It's something that will ultimately benefit people who, you know, don't have any kind of disability at all. Because one of the things that's sort of being pushed by people in the industry, and sort of, you know, charities and other organizations that are sort of campaigning for more accessible gaming, is that accessibility is not just for disabled people. It's something that anybody can enjoy, because it's about making the game play the way you want it to play. And that's not just something that disabled people can make the most of, is it?
No, exactly. It's a really, really great point, Ross, and definitely something we've talked about on the podcast before, but you put it really eloquently, so thank you for that. I think the point you've made is that accessibility basically gives the player lots of choice, which is a really great thing as far as I see it. And it's wonderful to hear about how it's transformed your gaming experience and made the games basically playable for you, which is really great to hear. Something I noticed from the way you were talking about a lot of the audio cues and things and also generally from the games I've been playing lately, is how much gaming is actually a really sensory experience. It's not just something you watch, it's also something you can use your hands with, obviously, because you'll be using a controller, but how much you use your ears, I think, is something we don't always notice as well, which is always an interesting thing to think about, like the number of different prompts you get, like audio cues and different things like that, that are kind of so well intertwined into the game that you don't even notice that they're actually accessibility tools. Is what's so clever, I think, is that aspect to it where it's designed in a way that it's not obvious that it's an accessibility tool as well. Sometimes that's really interesting to think about.
Yeah, they are, like, historically games have always like been sort of inherently really visual, haven't they? They've always relied on that visual aspect of it. But yeah, with sort of the additions of hearing, sound related accessibility features that sort of enhance that experience for people, and also sort of I guess the more physical things like the vibration of controllers and such, it's sort of helping to make it feel even more immersive, really.
Yeah,
one of the things they did with the second one is sort of for the cutscenes, they sort of introduced haptics to the controller to sort of go along with what the characters were saying, to try and help people who sort of people that maybe sort of hear through touch, if you like, kind of through interpreting vibration patterns to sort of literally get a feel for what the characters might be saying, which is sort of incredible, like you said, enhancing sort of the sensory experience of sort of the entire thing, and not just the the visual aspect, which games sort of typically have always been reliant on, really.
Brilliant. Let's see, what else do I have to ask you? We've had covered quite a lot of it so far. No, Matt, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was thinking when you were saying about the industry, rather than going, you've got five able-bodied people in the room going, oh, we'll add a high contrast thing. I'm sure that's what blind people want, and then carry on making the game. You can tell that they've clearly gone, you know what? Why don't we ask disabled gamers what would make their game not only playable, but enhance the experience for them as well? And I just want to go, come on, everyone. How's it taken? It really is that simple. And also, another element that I've had on all the time is slow motion when you aim. And that's just as simple as you turn the speed down, you press a button and the speed of the game turns down slightly. Games have been doing that forever. There's no reason that they all can't do that. And that made it so much easier. So having all the ammunition, slow-mo. I like going through games feeling like an unstoppable badass. And it just shows so much of this stuff is stuff that any game could, a lot of it could, there could be like set up packages on all game engines, like especially the Unreal Engine, the Unity engine, the free ones. A lot of this stuff is things that could be turned into a package that any someone making it on their own could use. Things like the slowing down thing. Because I've been learning about programming recently and found out that everything digital is based in binary. It's all zeros and ones, absolutely everything, and that blows my mind. And it's just a matter of game. All the elements. It's just maths. You just need to change some of the numbers in so many of the places. And I also did you. Sorry, say that again.
If it's a case of maths, it's a good job that they've not got me working on it.
Oh yeah, did you use the zoom function?
You know what, the zoom, ordinarily that would be amazing on a PlayStation game, but because of the sheer amount of features elsewhere, I found that I didn't need it because they had me covered so much in all of the other aspects that the zoom was just one that I didn't need in the end. But obviously somebody out there, it would have been equally as valuable to them as the other things were to me. And that's the brilliance of the fact that they added so many things. And like you said, it's absolutely clear and obvious. Even without them having confirmed it, it's obvious that they consulted with several disabled gamers, not one, and disabled gamers of various backgrounds. And that, they continued that relationship after the release of the game, because I imagine that, they would have had to do a lot of consulting for sort of the integration of the audio description as well. But sort of going back to what you said about the sort of the coding aspect of it, like Matt, I sort of think that, like, I am not like really savvy in that regard, but when I think of something as simple as sort of how you describe the slow motion thing, the shortcut that you can use to toggle it on and off, which is essentially just a swipe on the PlayStation controller. You swipe right or left on the touchpad to get your feature, and you can customize what turns on and off, but by default it's the slow motion mode. And even something as simple as that, being able to toggle a setting on and off with just a symbol, like it's almost like a keyboard shortcut on a computer, really. It's the equivalent of that. And it strikes me as something that wouldn't be that difficult to have in a lot of games.
No, that's
because every button is a 0 or a 1. Are you touching it? 0. No. Are you touching it? 1. Slide right. Turn it down. Turn the speed down 25%. And right again. Back up to 1. And you just go, come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. Easy.
Although with the slow motion mode, the only time it becomes quite funny is when I accidentally leave it on in a cutscene, and it's quite humorous.
I didn't know it could do that. That does sound funny.
Yeah, it does. It transitions between all sort of phases of the game, and whether it's a cutscene or just normal gameplay, it's always implemented. And it's the same with the high contrast as well. If you transition from gameplay to cutscene to gameplay, the high contrast is always there as well, which is brilliant. Sort of in the cutscenes, sort of the amount they've done with those in terms of accessibility is sort of brilliant as well. Like with the subtitles, you can change all the sizes of them, the color of them, the background of them, and you can even sort of add a little sort of the name of the character that's saying the line will appear next to it, and you can sort of customize the color of that as well. So it's not just the gameplay experience, if you like, that in the case of The Last of Us, it's not just the gameplay experience that they've clearly paid a lot of attention to in terms of making it accessible. It's the whole package, really.
I'd be interested to know, what does the audio descriptor sound like?
She sounds good, solid. I'd say like they say with all the audio description, it's meant to sort of complement what's going on, fill in the gaps really between any dialogue and other audio, and it does it fantastically. To be honest, it's not like, I don't know. When I liken it to other games in which I've heard like synthesized speech or other kind of audio description, I once played Minecraft, and the screen reader that it had on there, it sounded like something from like the 1980s or something like that. It was really bad. But sort of both the screen reader and the person that's done the audio description on The Last of Us, all of those sort of things that are used to provide sort of audio support to people who might have low vision. They're all done sort of incredibly well, and they don't, I don't know, they don't sort of take away from the experience in the way that it could be a risk that these things could do if they were done terribly. It complements it really, really well. It's as good as like your top TV shows. It's if I think back to the summer and watching Stranger Things, it's definitely on that level in terms of how well done and professional it is.
Okay, good to know.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.